On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks give an update that kicks the can down the road, but doesn't tell us anything about what they plan on doing the rest of the season. And the Dallas Mavericks put up a valiant effort in a great tank job against the Memphis Grizzlies. Who stood out on today's Like a Mavs?
I'm gonna get a city like that.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave me alone.
Your team every day.
Gotta be born with it, dogged up.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member, WNBA channel manager, Locked On Podcast Network, covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets for your first $5 bet win. So go check it out at FanDuel.com. And joining me, as always, the post-game prodigy from the great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
18 more of these. 18 more of these, and we can move on with our lives.
Admittedly, this one was more fun than the last couple.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. 18 more of these type of losses, and we're good to go.
I at least had fun and enjoyed myself during this loss. The last couple, I did not.
Yeah, they were competitive, and that's what you want.
We'll talk about the Mavs' loss to the Grizzlies. We'll talk about Brandon Williams, 31 points. What did he show for the Mavericks? Naji Marshall, 29 and 17. Great fight from him. A couple other things. Caleb Martin's debuts. A lot of things to get to from that game. But let's start here slightly. The Mavs give an update on Anthony Davis, Dereck Lively, Daniel Gafford. The update that was promised on the 6th, on Thursday, came, 12 hours later or whatever. But we still got it. Anthony Davis is showing some progress, and he's doing some on-court activities or on-court. What was the actual wording of it? The on-court movements. He's doing some on-court dynamic movements or something like that. He's going to be evaluated in a week. Dereck Lively is going to be reevaluated in a week, but he's showing some progress. He was here tonight, didn't have the boot on, which was a good sign. And then Daniel Gafford is going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. To me, this kicks the can down the road where the Mavs can just keep delaying these and saying, all right, well, we'll reevaluate again. We'll reevaluate here. Kind of keep some hope alive that these guys will come back. And maybe keep fans' hopes alive, maybe keep players happy, agents happy, whatever, that there could be a chance they'll play this season. And I think eventually they just won't play. I just don't think any of them will play. And I think that's what was kind of funny to me about this update is that it all just kicked the can down the road. We'll do it again in a week. We'll do it again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was expecting from this. I had people in my community who are like, dude, you should do a 12-hour stream on that Thursday. I'm like, for what? They're not going to say anything. The likelihood
a 12-hour stream is wild.
To none. And, I mean, this is what I was expecting. They would say, oh, things are going pretty well. We'll reevaluate in a week or so. And, I agree with you. I don't think that there's any world in which these guys come back. That would be so surprising to me, unless I guess the only scenario I see is if Clutch and AD go to the Mavs. We want to, if we're healthy, we want to play. We don't want to sit around. If we're healthy, we want to be out there and playing. And if you're the Mavs, you're like, well, we don't want to piss him off already. So, okay. But they'll see where they're at. Look, there's a scenario. If they won this game tonight, the Suns are playing the Nuggets right now. There still is a scenario where the Suns just do not figure it out. And it's just are we going to be the 10 seed? Is it possible for us to lose this? And at that point, they might be like, AD can't come back. We might as well just see if we're going to the playing tournament. We might as well bring these guys back. But I'd venture to guess the next 2 weeks that's not a concern anymore, and we won't have to worry about those guys coming back.
That's what I think too. But it is just kind of interesting that they're still kind of leaving the door open for these guys to come back, and that they're still kind of
hope thing. If I'm being honest with you,
that's the cynical side of me too thinks that too, where it's all right, well, we can't. The PR hit that they would take of Anthony Davis to shut down the rest of the season. They kind of had this soft launch today. I saw Kevin Gray use those words. It was a soft launch from Shams Charania. He reported that the Mavs and AD's representation have talked about potentially shutting him down for the rest of the season, and that he has played his last game this season for the Mavericks and his only game for the Mavericks. And so I thought that was interesting. They did a little soft launch of that, but
I think there's also some value to. Let's just say AD, they talked to AD's representation. They're like, yeah, we'll play. We're happy to play here next year. We're not worried about that. And it's like, okay, well, if he gets to a point where he's healthy enough, there's probably some value in at least working with the team and being here in that regard. over the last month or so before you head into the offseason. So that could also be a factor.
You think there is? You think there is a benefit to him, like actually coming back and playing? Because I've asked you this. I've asked Isaac this.
No. Not playing games. I'm saying, hey, he's healthy and he can like be involved in practices, the few practices that we have, shoot arounds, all these different things, walkthroughs, and we'll have him out there for that. But we don't want him playing in games. If that makes sense.
Okay, to be around the team and to do maybe those are the on-court dynamic movements that he's doing, right? Like maybe that's part of it. I really don't know what that verbiage means, but yeah, they're kicking the can down the road. They're leaving it open for some hope, at least some hope. And I don't know. They may need the bodies because they're going to run out of these two-way guys' contracts.
Yeah.
And
that would be a funny twist if it's like, guys, we wanted to tank, but we'd literally have to forfeit games if he didn't come back.
We're literally out of guys because Omax is now out for the year with a wrist injury.
Yep, that's a crazy one.
Hardy is out. Like, you just keep losing guys. It's just over and over again. You feel like you just keep running out of dudes. They had 9 tonight, and Dwight didn't even play the whole second half. Caleb Martin was on a minutes restriction. It just feels like you're just so low on guys. Kai Jones is out with his quad injury, but
so he's actually hurt then.
I mean, he missed another game, so the conspiracy is that they're holding him out to try and manage those games, which I don't know. I could believe that. He was looking good in his yellow jumpsuit on the bench there. They could definitely be doing that, but they're calling it a quad injury. So, it's like, all right, you got to take it at face value in some way.
Yeah.
You think they could get in trouble if they put Kai Jones rest instead of quad injury, like they had to name an injury?
I think they just wanted to avoid the possibility of getting in trouble altogether. So, I mean, they're probably managing his games, if I had to guess.
Probably, because like we've talked about these two-way guys. Brandon Williams only has like 7 games left.
Yeah.
Kessler Edwards only has a certain number of games left. Like, there's just not many for these guys. But Hardy and
Omax's injuries are brutal for this.
Those are tough. These guys would be getting a ton of minutes right now, and that's brutal. So the Mavs give that update. That's kind of an update, not really, but kick the can down the road. We'll see what happens. They leave the door open. AD could still play. Like, I wouldn't put it past this team for them to bring him back to try and do something and to make some noise, and especially if he's forcing them, like you said, if Clutch and his representation in them are like, hey, he really wants to play and show something here and just take a shot at it, then I don't know, maybe.
The thing is, though, we have seen this front office / coaching staff blatantly tank. like Slovenian Heritage Night, Luka, you're playing 4 minutes just so we can have you out there for the Slovenian people who came into Dallas.
Yeah,
like
true.
We've seen them do that. So
yes,
I would be shocked. I would be shocked if in 2 weeks AD's back. I would. That would be really surprising.
But have we seen them tank yet? Right? Do we know if they're in that mode yet? I don't know.
They're tanking right now.
Do you think so?
Yes. Yeah.
What makes you think they are?
I think they would make a bigger push with these two-way guys, and I think that they would figure something out roster-wise if they were really going for it. Like, they would waive somebody, they would waive and stretch somebody if it was like, we have to get another body in here that can contribute so we're not sitting out two-way guys, if that makes sense.
I think that's just kind of like throwing your hands up and being like, hey, I don't know. Let's not hurt ourselves down the road to try to do something right now. Yeah. What's the difference between tanking and giving up? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they're content. How about this? They're content with what happens, knowing they're probably going to be losing.
That is probably the best way to put it. They are content with what happens. And honestly, I was content with what was going to happen in this game against the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Mavs got real close in this one. And so, coming up, let's get into Brandon Williams, Naji Marshall. What did they show in this game? Some great fight for the Mavs, and why was it the perfect tank job for the Mavericks? Talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks daily fantasy made easy. Go check out Prize Picks, see what is available. They have all kinds of stuff all the time. All you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 player projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. They have NBA, they have MLB, they have football when that comes back. They have college basketball, all kinds of things that you can do. You can combine all these different kinds of players. So if you're watching multiple sports, you got the multiple screens going on. You can have multiple guys that you're watching and following. You could do the League Pass, quad box thing where you're watching a bunch of different guys at once. You could build lineups. You can. It's super quick and easy. Makes it simple. You can set your lineup in less than 60 seconds. Stay engaged all game long. You get fast payouts in as little as 15 minutes. Download the app and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. Check out FanDuel and see what is available for you right now. You've got a whole 30 on 30 specials. I don't know what that means. Knicks at Clippers. James Harden or Kawhi Leonard to score 30 points. Karl-Anthony Towns or Mikal Bridges to score 30 points. So they have different specials like that. They have awards. Those are coming up. You may want to put some money down on if you think SGA is the guaranteed MVP. He's minus 700. Jokic is plus 420. And then Tatum and Giannis and LeBron are plus 50,000. So they got no shot in that one, according to FanDuel. But again, check it out. Put down your first $5, and if you win, get $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, official betting partner of the NBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. We're a daily show, covers the Dallas Mavericks. We also have a newsletter. Check out LockedOnDaily.com. Check the link in the description or the QR code for the text line that you can also subscribe to. And they're having a nice Omax Q&A down there. Can you hear every single word that they're saying?
No, I can only hear voice.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, good. It's a super loud Q&A, and I'm glad that you can't hear too much.
Well, it was a packed house tonight from what I saw, so
it was the pictures and some of the images were it was pretty full. It was like a decent like regular season game.
I will say I saw a lot of people trying to get clicks, and I get it. It's the way that things are. Certain topics will do well. I saw the 10 minutes before tip-off tweets. And look, if you've been to any Mavs game, you know that is not a very accurate representation of how many people are at games.
And it was a 6:30 start. It's an early start on a weekday.
Yeah,
like you're just not going to have that many people here as early. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Mavs lose 122 to 111. It was way closer than that the whole game basically. And the Mavs even had a lead at certain point in this game, and were tied with 4 minutes left in this one. We got to start with Brandon Williams though. 31 points on 15 shots, hit 4 threes. 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Got 6 assists as well. He is just so crafty, and he was on fire tonight.
Yeah, that's really it. He's got a deep bag. I mean, we've talked about this a few times with him. When he's uber aggressive. He gets downhill, and he's got a floater that he can go to. He's got he had a disgusting, I think it was in the fourth quarter, a disgusting Euro that he hit that was just a nasty move. I mean, a really advanced move. Gets through Santi Aldama, who's a legit 7-footer. Like Santi Aldama is, I don't think people realize how tall he is.
Taller than you'd expect, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't play like it. But if he's not 7 foot, then he's right around 7 foot. It was a beautiful move there. And, he has step throughs. That's something that we've talked about before on here. I've talked about his step through moves that he has. Again, that beautiful Euro step, the floater. I mean, he's aggressive. He gets downhill. And good for him, man. This is what it's all about right here when you get to these moments, is a guy like Brandon Williams goes out and gets 31 points. And on 15 shots, by Joe, insane efficiency, and thoroughly outplayed one of the better players in the league, Ja Morant.
Absolutely, it was wild. I mean, Ja closed the game, and Ja finished him off. And so maybe if you go, all right, Ja got the win, and Ja closed him, so maybe you could make the case. But Brandon Williams overall for the whole game played better, which is wild. So good for him. Good for him stepping up in that moment, giving the Mavericks what they need, stepping up as the scorer that they needed because Kyrie's out, AD's out. You're missing a ton of offense there in general. Needed somebody to step up in some way. And Brandon Williams gave you everything. Gave you everything you could want. 31 points in just about 34 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Great efficiency, had it going. And I think he also benefited from the Mavs staying with that small ball lineup. They have Dwight Powell. He's their only big right now, but they started Kessler Edwards against Zach Edey. And then they didn't play Dwight Powell the entire second half, which is wild for a team that only had 9 available players to not play one of them the entire second half. But they went with that small ball look and tried to mitigate some of the, try to play Zach Edey off the floor basically for the rebounding and things like that. And Brandon Williams was able to just navigate all that space because they were spread out basically the entire second half and a lot of the first half.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the idea of going small against a team like Edie because no matter what, you're not going to, like, Dwight Powell's too small to begin with. So if you're already going to be small, then you might as well space them out. You might as well get into a track meet and have, that big lumbering guy go up and down the court. But I mean, it was a great job by Brandon Williams, and I do think I think he's an NBA player. I do. He's got size limitations, obviously, but as just this this guard who in a pinch can come in and is a real legitimately solid offensive player. Like, he's a bucket getter. He's got a deep bag. And he's smart too. When he gets around the rim, you see some guys, and there's some guys on this Mavericks team that I was very, very excited about originally, who I'm starting to be like, what's the plan, buddy? When you get down close to the rim, do we have a plan at all? This is looking eerily similar to
throw hands in air.
Another very similar to a guy named Josh Green. I won't say his name, but we all know who I'm talking about. But he gets down there and he has a plan, whether that's finding a teammate, kicking out to a teammate, a dump off pass, or, attacking the rim and finishing. So I do think that he's an NBA player. I do. I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to be here next year or what the case may be, but yeah.
Yeah, he's got a spot. I remember. I think I even talked about this on the show that Follow was gassing him up on the show and said, "Man, Brandon Williams, he's shown so much. He's proven that he's an NBA player, whether it's with the Mavericks or somewhere else." And I was kind of skeptical, like, I don't know, has he really shown that much? And then tonight just completely blew that out of the water. And he's like, here, I'm an NBA player, 31 points. Take that.
It's 6 feet tall. It's just you have to be very good offensively. But it just being like a 15th man or just somebody who, teams call up on every now and then where it's like, hey, our guards are hurt. We just need a guy. I think he could fit that role.
Well, he's fitting that role right now for the Dallas Mavericks because they need guards, and they got him. And so that was great to see from him. Great fight. Naji Marshall, 29 points, 17 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive end. He had 6 offensive rebounds. The rest of the Mavericks had 5 total. And, man, he was great. Not as efficient as Brandon Williams because he was only 1 of 6 from 3. But the rest of his game, efficient, just effort, running in there, grabbing boards, driving, creating offense. I mean, Naji has just stepped up in a big way in these games where the Mavs are just completely overmatched by the other team.
Yeah, in the third quarter, he was just a man possessed. I was 16 points in the third quarter, just flying up and down the court. I mean, this game, the Grizzlies play with a breakneck pace, and the Mavs matched that a little bit, which I think in their current form is what they have to do if they want to be somewhat competitive. But yeah, I mean, Naji was him and Brandon Williams. Really, the only reasons this game is close, and Naji Williams is in the third quarter is the reason why at times it looked like, oh my God, are the Mavs gonna win this game? Like
they had a lead. They had a lead with 4 minutes left. In this game, I was like, my God, the Grizzlies, they just look so unimpressive over the last 2 weeks. They really might lose this. There was a guy that was sitting 2 rows in front of where my seats are, and he was jumping up and down and celebrating and dancing and pointing at people that were leaving early and saying goodbye, bye. And then he was celebrating, and as he walked by, the woman he was with said, "Oh, quiet. He's doing a show," and she was telling the guy to be quiet while he was celebrating. And I said, "No, do your thing, man. I'm just wondering why you're celebrating. The Grizzlies barely getting this win against the hospital Mavs." And he goes, "We lost 4 in a row. You got to get a win however you can."
Hey, that's fair.
It's you know what? I respect that.
That's true. If we were in their shoes, we'd be saying the same exact thing. We'd be like, "Look, man, you just got to win a game."
We did a couple of games ago against the Pelicans where we were like, "Yeah, the Mavs, let's go."
Yeah, that's true. The Hornets game too, where it's just like, yeah, well, they just got to squeeze out wins at this rate, man. But yeah, I mean, if you're a Grizzlies fan, you're probably like, well, Ja had a really good second half, and that's he's really been struggling lately. Maybe that gets him going, but yeah, I mean, the last month or so, I don't think this is a very impressive team. I don't think it was after this game. And granted, they've been without Jaren Jackson now for a little bit, but
yeah, I think he's missed 3 games. Jaren Jackson would have crushed the Mavericks tonight.
Yes, he would have crushed them. And this was, I think, his
dominated them.
I think this was his 3rd game missed, including the game he got hurt in. So,
okay, well, he's missed 4 total now, but yeah, one of them was forever. But, yeah, so the Mavs are tied 108 after Ja Morant drives on Brandon Williams. That drive where Brandon Williams stumbles and falls back, that was a nasty move by Ja.
Oh, that was a nasty move.
But then Kessler Edwards comes over and gets the block on Brandon Clark after the dump off. Naji gets fouled on the other end.
Did you from where you were see what happened on that play? I mean, John
afterward?
broke his ankles and then did the drop
Yeah.
off. And then he like turned towards his bench and just started like running off with like his hands up, like trying to recreate like the Dwayne Wade LeBron picture.
And instead he did the swaggy P of getting blocked. Like,
Yes. Which wasn't his fault. That was a nasty move. He did everything he had to do there.
yeah. And then you have just some disgusting basketball over the next couple of minutes, but you get a Desmond Bane 3, and you get a Brandon Clark putback. It's 5-point game. Brandon Williams drives and finishes, gets a free throw on the next play. And then you had a couple of opportunities there, but the Grizzlies, like John Morant, just finished with a drive and finish, and then a floater to put it 119 to 111, and he kind of just finished it off right there after Clay missed 2 threes, and that was pretty big down the stretch.
Yeah. So if maybe you haven't experienced tanking before, or like your team being down bad, or whatever the case may be, this is how a lot of these games will probably play out, where they'll get blown out. They'll lose some games by 20, 30 points.
Like last game.
But the games that are close will get to a point like this where the other team has a guy like John Morant, who has not been great and has not been the John Morant that we've grown accustomed to, but it's still been pretty clutch this season. They have a guy that they could go to in those moments that you just feel like we're going to get a bucket. We're going to get a good look. Like we feel good in whatever situation we find ourselves in if this guy has the ball in his hands. And the Mavs just do not have that. They don't have the Brandon Williams had a fantastic game. Naji had a fantastic game. Clay hit a few threes here and there. But the reality is these guys are, they are who they are. They're role players. And when the defense really clamps up and they're trying to take certain stuff away, it's hard to match that.
Yeah, and the Mavs offense struggled with Kyrie and this group.
Yeah.
They're going to struggle now. They only had 105 offensive rating, and you got kind of nothing from Max Christie. Hit 2 threes and had 3 assists, and then Spencer Dinwiddie 2 of 12 too. So if you got a little bit more from either of those guys, you may be in a better position and have a bigger lead towards the end to try and stop that run that you were going to get eventually from a John Morant and Desmond Bane late.
Christie, I'm just hoping for a good solid last 15 games for him, because it's been a rough stretch.
He had a great first 8 games, and he's had a really rough last 4 games or so.
Yeah,
and yeah,
it's too many. It's too often, at least offensively, where you're just like, I didn't even know Max Christie was on the floor. He just kind of floats around, and that's not where you want to be at. He was who I was talking about earlier, where it's like sometimes he gets to the paint or around the paint, and it's just there's not a lot of plan.
Well, I thought you were talking about Hardy.
Oh, no. I was talking about Max Christie, which I
Hardy,
can maybe. Hardy's kind of similar, but
Hardy does always have a plan, though. It is just to go up and to put the ball in the rim, whether it's a good plan or not is up for debate. But
I wish I could transfer some of that confidence to Christie right now.
Yeah, right. And that's what he needs. And it's wild to see him not have confidence and not be aggressive with a team that has this many players out. I mean,
well, maybe that's just the thing. Maybe it's like I feel comfortable when I'm playing off of guys, and that's what I've done my whole career. I feel comfortable when I'm playing off of guys, and I can attack, defenses that are in rotation, and I don't have the ball in my hands. This is a set defense. I'm getting an on-ball screen. The defense is pitching in, and I got to do something.
Yeah, it takes a special player to go from the plays off of guys role player to steps up, scores on my own guy, right? That's why in SGA it's just so rare and insane, because he started as a role player with the Clippers, and then for the Thunder a little bit too, and then stepped up into this go-to scorer guy. It just rarely ever happens in for many guys, and so yeah.
This is why I was like, please stop doing the SGA stuff.
Oh, I know.
I was like, please. Because SGA, at least, you're right when he's a rookie and a second-year guy, but there was at least all the advanced metrics, all of the point per possession stuff with him in isolations. Dude, this guy shouldn't be this good, this young.
Yeah, and should get more opportunity. Is what the case always was for him. Yeah, no, I never. It was always facetious from me.
No, I wasn't saying you. I was saying the fans in general, because there was a lot of people who was like, "Can he take an SGA jump?"
Yeah, well, it's just the last
that guy's gonna win MVP, right?
Yeah, it's the last best example. It also is the only way that the Luka trade works out. He turns into SGA.
That's probably what it was,
right? There's a little copium in that. It's maybe if Max Christie is this sleeper MVP type guy, then everything's gonna be okay.
That's more what it was. It's well, The Paul George trade.
We're all trying to find our copium somewhere.
Nobody thought SGA was going to be that good.
Certainly the Clippers, I guess, didn't.
No, I mean, nobody did.
Caleb Martin had his debut. He played just under 15 minutes, like Jason Kidd said. Had one great reverse layup, had 3 assists, 4 boards. I thought he played some great defense, too. He, really holds things together for this Mavs defense.
I was just about to say, I thought he had a really solid debut. And I think you kind of saw the idea of what Caleb Martin, and I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. I do not know. This might be the few weeks you see if Caleb Martin in a Mavs jersey. Just being honest.
Never know.
Yeah, I'd be surprised actually if he's on the team next year. To be completely and totally honest with you, he just seems like a tradable contract.
I'd be surprised if anybody's on the team next year at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. That is,
you never know now. Nobody's safe at all.
We might be hosting the Pelicans.
Jake would be so happy.
Pelicans post-game shows next year. Who knows?
Locked On Pelicans host Jake Madison would be so happy. I get to cover a different team. It's a different cursed team, but it's still a cursed team.
I love the tweets that are like, I hope they don't trade you guys to do Locked On Lakers. It's that'd be funny if that's how it worked out.
That would be funny. Well, early on in the Locked On development, I pitched the idea of doing a Locked On Luka, a Locked On LeBron, a Locked On Caitlin Clark, Locked On players. So then you would move from you're right there with the stands, and then you end up becoming an expert on that team that they're with and do that. So yeah, we would have gotten traded then. That'd be wild, dude, to do a Locked On Luka and you get traded like that.
Before we continue with Caleb Martin, because I do want to keep talking about him real quick. How is, since this is related to what you were just saying, how has the watching Luka Laker games experience been for you?
For me personally, and people should know, I was born in LA. I was a Lakers fan as a kid. That was my whole personality, was being a Lakers fan. Then I moved to Dallas to go to college, and then started covering the Mavs, and I've been covering the Mavs and been part of this for 10 years now. So fandom is different when you start covering a team, when it becomes your job, and when you start being in the media and start talking to people and you're close to it and things like that. And so I don't have the same kind of fandom that I used to when I was a kid, where I literally my room was painted with Lakers and I had all the jerseys and Shaq was my guy and all that. It is so weird to watch Luka in a Lakers jersey still, and I find myself watching them, but I find myself just being angry as I watch them about the trade and about how, I've covered every single minute of Luka's career, basketball career, since he was drafted. There was an attachment there where it's man, I don't get to cover that guy or talk about that guy anymore, basically, unless he plays the Mavericks. And that part has frustrated me the most in all this, is that he's going to hit the mountaintop at some point, and now we're not going to be there or be able to celebrate with him. With that and with Mavs fans, and so that's where I am. I just find myself being so angry. Watching that Lakers-Knicks game the other night, and with Brunson too, to add insult to injury. It's just oh my god.
Well, the broadcast also mentioned KP.
Porzingis.
Yeah, that's the most annoying one. It's let's not forget they also had KP. It's let's please forget that we had KP actually. But no, I figured out what my emotions were in that Knicks game. I finally pinned it down because I still, Luka hits a shot and I'm like, I feel good. I'm like, let's go. He's talking trash to the bench. I'm like, let's go. That's Luka. LeBron. I love LeBron. LeBron's the GOAT to me. So anytime he does something, I'm like, let's go. I love you, LeBron. Love you, Bron. But I just cannot root for the Lakers. It's this very weird thing. And I figure out what it is. I don't think they deserve it. I do not think they deserve to be where they're at.
That's it. Yep,
I don't.
That's it.
They got LeBron because they're in LA. And they got Luka because of the ineptitude of this front office. It's not like they did anything extraordinary as a front office.
They didn't do the OKC thing where they set themselves up so well that they just were going to they were so smart. They weren't even like the Warriors where they set their cap up so well that they were able to get Kevin Durant. It was something so much less deserving in that way.
That's what's made me mad. It's just how did you guys get this? You're supposed to be next year. We're supposed to be talking about LeBron wants out. AD's gonna get traded.
It's supposed to be the downfall.
And now it's what? What just happened?
It was a get out of jail free card, basically, is what they gave.
Yeah, that's where all my frustrations are. I finally pinned it down.
Nico Harrison was here tonight. He was walking around.
Good for him.
On the court before the game, like normal.
Well, let's get back to his other trade deadline edition, Caleb Martin.
Caleb Martin, who came in, a month after the Mavericks said he was going to come back. He makes his debut, but you mentioned we mentioned his defense. I thought it was great, and It honestly, I know we're going to go negative on this again. It made me sad that I don't get to see Caleb Martin on this fully formed Mavs team because he would have fit so well with the rest of this group.
Yeah. And you saw, like, I don't think it's a coincidence he had the best plus minus on the team. Usually I don't use that stat at all because I don't think it has game to game. It can be very wonky. But I think in this case it makes sense to me because I thought defensively he was great. And you saw the glimpses where, like, he's picking up Ja Morant. And then he had possessions where he was starting on Brandon Clark. So that's sort of the versatility that he provides. And, offensively, I don't expect a lot of scoring out of him. Like, I know he had those stretches against the Celtics and stuff like that. But you saw moments where he was pushing the ball in transition and finding open teammates, possessions where he was coming off of ball screens. Like, that's stuff that he also can do. So, I think he's an interesting player. It just for a tanking team, which the Mavs probably will be for the final 18 games. I don't really know what you can expect out of him in any real significant way. But if this team are fully healthy, he's a very interesting depth piece, like a very interesting rotation player. Absolutely,
he would have fit really well in this. So you're saying that you don't expect a lot of scoring? Like, you don't think he would ever score 44 points in a game? Like in a
Nope, I doubt it. I still stand by that trade. I'm sorry. I buy the reports that his agent wanted out.
I think even if he wanted out, you keep him and you force him to go get a deal somewhere else, and because he's the better talent.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But if they felt like they couldn't pay him, then what do you do?
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. They went over the tax anyway. It's like they went over the tax to get Caleb Martin. So you're going to go over the tax anyway.
Like,
so you might
future wise, if Grimes' contract is double what Caleb Martin's is.
Could be. I don't think it will be, but
I don't think it will be either.
I mean, look at what Derrick Jones Jr. went and got. It wasn't like that much more than what Naji's making right now and what Caleb Martin makes.
Yeah, true. But if they felt like they didn't even want to risk that.
Yeah.
So.
Did we get to everybody? Kessler Edwards, I thought, had a really good game. Hit 3 threes, had a couple of good blocks, couple of good steals. Like he's filling in his spot.
Yeah, if he hits any threes, it's a positive. So
that's a win.
It's a win.
That's a win. All right, go check out Slightly Biased. Great YouTube channel. The Mavs did not win, but they won what they were supposed to do and got done what they were supposed to do in this one. So we continue on the dark journey of the Dallas Mavericks. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us.
Can I ask something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to hear in the comment, is there any singular person who's like, you guys are ridiculous, I want to win, like I'm rooting for them to win?
Yeah, who wants them to win now?
I have yet to stumble across anyone like that, but I'd be interested if there's any.
I think the people in the building wanted them to win. So.
Well, yeah, when you're in there, like if you're in there and you paid money or whatever, like you want to see.
I've talked to multiple people that bought tickets months ago for games like this, and got here. Like I talked to, so it was like Houston, Houston like Cougs, the college. There's a woman that organized the Houston night, and she organized it months ago and was like, "Oh, we have Quentin Grimes, and they got Luka and all that, and now this is what it was tonight." It's just it's wild. So I think those people want wins, the ones that are here. Sure. But other than that, let us know in the comment section. Check the QR code links in the description for more ways to follow the show. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked on Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
Good win tonight, boys.
The tank rolls on.